Wrestling Report PrimeTime Thursday night live here on Fight TV. I am Damian Nelson coming to you alongside our super tremendous team of David Octavius, the Tiberius, the alleged backyard knockout, straight edge hardcore Hall of Famer hero, and
completely butchered that, but that's
and
fine.
The one and the very only, the legendary Hurricane Shane Helms, the super in the Super Show. That is the Pro Wrestling Report here on Thursday nights live on Fight TV. But the man who quite doesn't know how to properly indicate flavors of Kool-Aid.
We're talking about you now, or what?
No, it's grape. I don't understand what the controversy is.
I took a poll. You lost by a landslide.
Like
everybody,
it wasn't even close.
Purple.
It wasn't even close.
What did you poll? What were your demos?
What were my demos? The people that follow me, that was my demo.
Well, the people that follow me said grape.
So 3 or 4?
I will say this. All of a sudden, I wake up one morning and I see Conan's in our mentions. I'm like, oh my God, now what's going on? And even Conan's like, bro, I've never once heard it called grape. It's always been purple.
It depends on your region, you know? Okay, so let's give the history here. Last week on the broadcast, there was a question about what grape-flavored Kool-Aid is referred to, what it's called. Is it purple or is it grape? And where I come from, where I was raised, it was red or grape. And Shane believes, at least down in his South, that it's red and purple. Dave, I'm not sure you ever chimed in as to what it was called in your hood where you were growing up.
Well, I drink Crystal Light, so it doesn't make a difference.
Of course you do. Yep. And that answers actually the question. So thank you. But let's get down to it. And we want to welcome all of you joining us here live on Fight TV. It's Thursday, July 16, 2020. And we are here to talk about AEW and NXT from last night. Of course, both shows live on their respective networks, USA and TNT. Fight for the Fallen was the title of the show of AEW. NXT was following up to Keith Lee's big championship victory on the previous week at the Great American Bash. So, because they had a special show this week, let's talk about AEW first. And gentlemen, the big news coming out of it was the return of Darby Allin. Now, there were several news stories, but to end the show, Darby Allin returned after Jon Moxley defeated Brian Cage when Taz, his manager, threw in the actual towel. So let's go from end to beginning, I guess, in this, and talk about that main event matchup and the return of Darby Allin going right after Brian Cage after a 1-month absence in AEW. Shane.
I thought that was rushed. I didn't think the Darby Allin thing was needed this week at all. I would have much preferred to save that for next week. I think you had a match, with high stakes with Moxley against Cage, and it seemed that you had the AEW champion was an afterthought when Darby Allin came.
Oh, you know what? Somebody didn't like what Shane was saying. What'd you do, Dave?
Wow. That's censorship to the degree. I had nothing to do with it.
He just straight up bounced. He is gone. There was no.
You know what it was? I think it's the AEW fanboys that got hot that Shane wasn't happy with the main event. I'm afraid to say anything right now because that could happen to me next. Well, I agree. I agree with Shane.
Go ahead, Dave.
I agree with Shane 110%. It was very kabuki-ish for me. We haven't seen Jon Moxley for a couple weeks. He's been at home. He hasn't been able to be at TV. He's finally back. He's in the main event, the most talked about main event in quite some time for AEW. Very weird ending. Taz throwing in the towel. I didn't know that heels would throw in towels, but I guess that's a thing. And then also there's Darby Allin, who looks why? Why bring him back then? Like Shane said, Jon Moxley, the AEW World Heavyweight Champion of the world, now took second fiddle. I mean, Batman became second fiddle to Robin, is what it looked like as they went off the air last night.
Here's what it is again. Welcome back, Shane. Sorry, Dave dropped you out of the call here.
Okay, I'm back.
But so Dave has an inherent problem. He was following up on what you were saying, but Dave has an inherent problem with Darby Allin and his hatred for Darby Allin.
Listen, I don't mind that he wears nylons. That does not bother me at all. Okay, or that it's fine. I just like get your world champion over. He is the face of the company.
But how did they not? He beat Brian Cage. Taz threw in the towel. The story there ending, and now Moxley continues as champion.
Here's how they did not. Here's how they did not. Here's how they did not. It should have been about Moxley retaining the title, not about a guy jumping off the top rope with a skateboard.
But was this any protection for Brian Cage's loss by distracting us with Darby Allin? That's the way I, from a fan's perspective, while watching, took it. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Cool. All right, Brian Cage lost. Maybe he's not a monster. He's got the FTW championship. Darby Allin, though, hey, Darby's back. I already forgot.
I would have done it differently. I think you go off with the hook of tease. I would have Brian Cage questioning Taz at the end, like, why did you throw the towel? And I understand why Taz did it. I'm very interested that they did it. I thought that was new. That was out of the box. Have we seen a towel thrown in that meant anything since Bob Backlund lost the WWF title? Not that I can remember.
Well, but to be fair, Shane, they did it when MJF threw the towel on Cody, which now won't give Cody another world title match.
Okay, well, okay, you're correct then. Since that one, all right, fine.
Yeah,
but just the way I was very interested in that. I love the way that they did that, and I would have went off with that hook. What happens next with this? Just bringing out Darby Allin, I think that could have waited till next week. And you build upon that. I'm not saying don't bring out Darby Allin. I like Darby. I like him and Cage getting into it. I just don't think it was needed this week, because now I completely forgot about this match with these two guys that they built up for weeks. Mm-hmm. Why would you want to forget about it just like that? Why do you do weeks of a build up and then want to forget about the match as soon as it's over? Matches should have consequences and repercussions. And I just think I just don't think it was needed this week.
Do you think maybe now Taz goes into the browbeating mode of Brian Cage by saying, hey, you didn't follow the plan. I had to save you. You were about to tap out. You were about to lose. Now they can, I just thought it was so weird that Brian Cage wasn't dominating more of that match. It looked like at the beginning, and then it became a real quick 50-50 match going forward. It's almost like what they did with Brody Lee. They bring him in for the title match, and then they now take him somewhere else. And I hope that Brian Cage is not one and done with Jon Moxley, because there is so much unfinished business there. And let's be honest, why is Darby Allin so upset with Brian Cage? The match they were in is all about violence and destruction.
He was out for a month, though. Nobody else was out. As a result of that match, he was injured. Wouldn't that piss him off?
I think Dave's got a point, though. I mean, they're both in the match. Brian didn't do anything illegal in that match, and so it kind of makes Darby seem whiny that he's going to come in and attack a guy. He's supposed to be the babyface. He's attacking this guy after he just had a long match.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, and I don't really see the reason why. I agree with that completely. I would have booked that match a little differently. I agree with Dave. I don't think Brian looked as strong as I would have liked him to look during that match. There was a lot of little things I didn't like. It didn't have a big match feel. Cage jump starting the match, which they do. I think they've done in just about all his matches. I don't understand that at all. He should have the confidence that he's going to kill this guy. He should have that confidence with anybody. You completely bury the referee 1 second into the match, which is just nonsense to me. I don't know why they keep doing that. And then Moxley looked great, and there's a lot that I did like about it too. I mean, there's a lot that I did like about this match, but I would have done it differently. And at the end, like I said, I would have just had more of the conversation being about what's next for Brian Cage and Moxley, and have Moxley with that championship that he won. Keep that spotlight on your champion instead of him being faded into the background, it seems, because the story is no longer about him. That was just odd to me. That's all.
When did Moxley become such a submission type wrestler?
Yeah, that was odd too. I mean, if Moxley was known for that finish makes a lot more sense. So But that's just being a little nitpicky. But I get what
But
you're
you know
saying.
what though? But I don't think it's that nitpicky because he just doesn't make guys tap. So we
Right.
don't know how devastating that really could have been because he's never hurt anybody with it before. And how is he supposed to hurt the most jacked guy on the roster?
Right.
Like I could see if he like pulled out Wardlow's shoulder or made Luchasaurus tap out or whatever else. Bigger guys that are afraid to be put in there. But when you're someone that's as physically imposing as Brian Cage, and yeah, he didn't tap, it's just like I didn't. That finish came out of nowhere for me. It just didn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't crazy. I mean, it's tough. I like the idea of how they use Taz with the towel, but I don't know. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it, but I don't know, man. I'm torn on this one. Torn, right down the middle.
Well, clearly, I didn't expect such passionate discussion about this matchup because, again, from me, and again, the way we look at things here on the show, Shane, the wrestler, Dave, the promoter, me, the fan, while watching it, it came off as sensible. I'm like, all right, cool. This match is what it is. Now, I think also my expectations were a bit diminished because the match didn't happen as part of Fyter Fest. Doesn't matter, but for whatever reason, it was like, oh, they're just doing this because they said they were going to do it and get this Brian Cage thing out of the way. I didn't have any inkling or thought that Brian Cage was ever going to win on Dynamite last night, but I was entertained.
See, but isn't that bad?
Exactly, it's terrible.
Well, no, because if you don't have an inkling whatsoever that the challenger is going to win.
But last week they gave him the FTW championship. And to me, that said, okay, doesn't matter if he wins the AEW championship or not because he's got his own championship. And I believe both of you felt that was a challenge as well.
Right. Yeah, so I don't.
Because here's the thing. Let's talk about that for a second. If he has the truly FTW world champion, why does he care about tapping out? Why doesn't he just be like, I'll just, whatever happens, happens. So it kind of like, there's so many things that are unanswered that I hope they can explain it next week, because right now there's a huge question mark as to the direction of AEW's AEW World Championship. Because right now there's no true number one contender for that title, because you got to believe Brian Cage is now going to go off and go into a program with Darby Allin, which, let's face it, that's kind of like Brock Lesnar versus Rey Mysterio. I don't want to see that right now.
There we go.
I don't.
There we go.
Because
what
they need to
an eye for an eye match.
That we'll save that for another show, okay? But it's like, establish Brian Cage as a legit threat. Let him be a beast. Brian Cage needs to destroy Darby Allin.
Maybe he will. Maybe he will.
Let's hope. Let's hope, because right now they don't have anybody that truly sticks out as a killer on that show, and they need one.
What about Luchasaurus? He had a good showing last night.
I was actually watching AEW. That one I didn't watch. That one I passed on. But you know what? Let's talk about how AEW started off. They were swinging for the fences. You can tell they did not want to lose another week in the ratings. When you start off and your leadoff spot is Cody Rhodes, and then imagine if you're a baseball fan, imagine your leadoff hitter is now Cody Rhodes. Your second up is FTR versus the Lucha Brothers. Chris Jericho is batting third, and then cleanup you have the Elite against Jurassic Express. They made sure nobody was changing the channel, because on the other side, NXT started off with Keith Lee. Then you go into the Archer against Grimes, and then you had a girls' match followed up by Phantasma. NXT was like minor leagues in their first 4 or 5 segments. AEW was able to effectively get the audience early with Cody, and they did not relinquish it. I think it's going to be a big victory for AEW in the ratings.
Okay. Let's talk about those matches, and let's talk about what Jericho said about the ratings as well. We'll get to that in a minute, but the opening contest, Shane, was Cody versus Sonny Kiss. This for the TNT Championship. Sonny Kiss getting the chance at Cody's gold, if you will. What did you think of that opening presentation?
I thought the match was pretty good. There was a couple little snafus early on, but once they got cooking, they were really cooking. I like how Cody kind of teases that he's got this inner turmoil, inner demon that he's fighting with. Is he the babyface? Is he the heel? Because he kind of seems like he's struggling with that, and I think that's pretty. Interesting. I like that Orange just not out there cheerleading. He's talking shit to Cody like a coach does. I like that. And I thought it was a good showing for Sonny Kiss as well. So he had really good facials during the introduction. I like that. They made it serious. You can have all the pomp and circumstance during the entrance, but when it's time, and they're doing the championship introductions, his facials were great there, and that helps tell a story. I thought it was pretty good.
A big arrival for Sonny Kiss. That entrance felt like it was about 30 minutes long. It was cool, but I thought there was something missing in the match. I don't know what that something was, but I was watching it and I'm just like,
I can tell you what it was. It was, I think, one of the very few matches where Brandy does not get involved. I think that's what you were missing. But all kidding aside, with Cody, he was fighting like a sense of urgency. Like, hey, I want to defend my title. I'm out here just about every week defending, fighting, defending. It's now he's finally going to put his stamp on it and say, yeah, you know what? I can still be the good guy, but I got a nasty side to me also. And what defending champion wouldn't have that extra bit of aggression? I like it. My only concern is that they oversold it with all the announcing yesterday saying, oh, Cody seems like a new attitude. Yeah, let it just happen organically. Don't tell us ahead of time what's going to happen. That way it just gets a better reaction down the road.
And why that's so important, Dave, and I touched on this last week, anytime you got a babyface versus a babyface, you're not going to have heel heat. So, but Cody kind of teasing that, is that aggressive side. He adds just a little taste of it. You know what I'm saying? Whenever you got a babyface match versus a babyface match, it just becomes about spots. You don't get that story. I think I've had this conversation with you, Dave, on the sly. I would hate when promoters would book me, the Hurricane, the superhero, against another babyface. If there's anybody that needs a villain in the history of the business, it's the superhero. So when you put me with another babyface, you take away my character. So I understand, and I've been there. So okay, now I just got to do a bunch of spots because I can't really get my character over because he's a good guy too. So that's when it becomes these spot fests and stuff like that. But so I like what Cody's doing, and I don't know if that's why he's doing it. Maybe it's just his personal character that he wants to evolve. But either way, I think it added to the match.
Well, that was Cody retains. Sonny Kiss gets the rub, I guess you can call it, after the matchup. Cody Rhodes showing respect for Sonny Kiss, who I guess it was his. I'm trying to find a different word so I don't get in trouble.
You can say coming out party.
Okay.
This is what it is, right?
No, it was, and it was well done, and the respect was shown, and it was given. And did it achieve what it needed to achieve? Though, is Sonny Kiss now there in his place on the AEW roster, Dave?
I think he's way more than a mid-card guy right now, especially when him and Cody had their embrace at the end. That right there was the stamp of approval. I think that was needed. Sonny Kiss is no longer just a gimmick wrestler. He was able to go toe-to-toe with Cody Rhodes for 6 to 8 minutes and had a competitive match. I mean, Cody Rhodes is just that much better. But, Shane mentioned it a while back. Cody was going to take certain guys and see what they can do and elevate them. And so far, everybody that Cody has been in the ring with, he has made them a better performer, more quote-unquote over in the fans' eyes.
Without a doubt. And I love the way too. I need to work with Cody on that vertebreaker. Gotta be honest on that. But the way Sonny took that and the way Sonny took Cody's finish was incredible. So great selling job by that. I kind of wish that Sonny would have been the one to go to Cody and stick the hand out, because Cody had all that aggression and all of that, like we just talked about. And then he switches 180 right back to, hey, let me shake your hand after I was struggling with crippling your ass a while ago. They still could have got to that handshake and that, hey, you've arrived moment. I mean, Sonny's been a part of the roster, and I don't think he's ever seemed out of place to me,
Right.
but this match, I think, did elevate him in a lot of people's eyes. So,
another successful defense. I think now 12 wins in a row, 12 weeks in a row, 12 wins in a row, rather, for Cody on AEW programming. The next match we would see would be FTR going up against the Lucha Brothers. This one was, I guess, for lack of a better word, quite stiff, it seemed, Shane.
Yeah. They were laying it in. So, hey, that's how it is sometimes. I like it. FTR is just smooth. All their, tag team combinations, their pinpoints. These are two, it was very odd that the Lucha Brothers, they botched like their first tag team maneuver together. Yeah. And that match was and it was painful to watch. What the hell is going on here? But once you got past that, man, I think this match was really good. And yeah, they were laying it in. I love the finish. I wish the announcers would have put over how much the mask means to a luchador, to explain that. You always have to consider that there's new viewers watching. Every single show you need to consider that there's new people watching, and they might go, why would he give a shit that mask is taken off?
Yeah.
That should have been explained. That would have helped me a little bit more.
I thought they explained it on commentary very good, saying that
I did not think that.
Okay. Well, I think Excalibur.
I think they explained what happened.
Yeah.
But you got to understand, like, the culture of the luchador, it's so powerful. You take that mask off, we got to fight. You know what I mean? They'll wage their whole careers over a mask in Mexico. So I hope that isn't the end of that. If you're going to do something that drastic, I hope next week it's addressed and the Lucha Brothers get some kind of payback. That being said, the shenanigans after the match, with the beer, since they were doing the thing with Jericho later, the beer thing on Kenny seemed redundant. We're pouring the liquid. Yeah, I mean, you're doing two of the exact same bits in the same show back to back. Creatively, as a writer, that's a no-no.
And Shane,
I don't know why you do that.
One was for kids and one was for adults.
But Shane, here's the thing:
it's the same gag. You're doing the same gag.
If someone's dumping a beer or a drink on your head, you're going to want to fight back, aren't you?
Yeah, you fight them. Yeah, you fisticuff right away. I mean, they could have went and did exactly what Kenny did last week. Take the beers, give him the toast, walk over there and pour the shit on the ground. Same effect without doing the exact same gag.
See, for me, it didn't come off as exactly the same, though, Shane.
They poured liquid on somebody's head 2 segments in a row. That's exactly the same. Whether it's red Kool-Aid or purple Kool-Aid, it's Kool-Aid going on somebody's head. 2 segments in a row. It's the exact same gag.
It was orange drink.
You know what? I think that's why they did it, because then that way they don't have to change the
the canvas.
Yeah.
Same gag.
We'll talk about the second gag.
Right.
Let's talk about FTR. Do you think, as much as the fans love them and want to see them, do you think they're risking overexposure? I mean, this match last night should have been on a pay-per-view, and they gave it away. It was like the first time they've ever had a match, and I get it. The Wednesday Night Wars mean a lot, or is it because they don't have any mid-card tag teams right now to put in there with FTR at this time?
Maybe, I don't know. I think you got to put them out there. I don't hate that the match happened, and I guarantee you, if you put these guys on pay-per-view, it'll be an even better match. That's how good they are. So get the most out of them that you can. Keep in mind, like, with the era that we're in, there's personnel problems on every single company out there.
Right.
So maybe you're right that they don't have mid-card tag teams or whatever, but I'm switching the channel if it's FTR against 2 guys that they're going to squash, compared to what I'm going to see on Wednesday night. So, were
you surprised that they stayed with FTR for so long when the truck wasn't starting, that they didn't go to a different shot?
That was brutal.
Yeah,
so brutal. I felt so bad for him. One time I'll throw this in. But luckily it was on SmackDown, so we could edit it off. One of the gigs with the Huracycle, when I jumped on it, it cut off. And then I had to sit there and cut it on, and it wouldn't cut on. And I was like, oh, my God, I was so glad it wasn't Monday Night Raw and it would have been live. So I felt really bad for that. But
it seems like time just stops when those things happens, right? Because
and then you got my man behind the wheel, whichever one was behind the wheel, and he's just like, I don't know if you guys remember, but me and Kane kidnapped Triple H one time. I love these storylines. This is what happens in wrestling. Yeah, so we actually kidnapped a human being, and we threw him in the trunk. And when the car started to drive off, the trunk popped up. Oh, my God.
Awesome.
That's the joys of live TV, though. So,
Shane, tell me a story too about, I noticed that during the matchup, I think it was Dax. He actually started bleeding from those chest chops. Is that a hangnail that does that, or is it what causes you actually to draw blood from those substantial chops?
Back in my day, when I was coming up, and you're talking the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, when I was starting to get involved in pro wrestling, the overhand chop was the shooter chop. That's what they would do to hurt you, because guys would purposely not trim their nails. And when they do that overhand chop, the nails would dig into you.
Huh.
So the Ric Flair chop was the work chop. If you're going to just make sound, and it slaps the shit out of you, but it's the work. But if somebody was intentionally trying to hurt you, it was that overhand, in my younger day was the Wahoo chop, because Wahoo would go over and Flair was like that. And I've had matches where I wasn't sure if the guy was like trying to hurt me. And, afterwards I was like, what was up with that chop? And it's like, oh, nothing. Then I could tell they wasn't, yeah. But, more than likely what happened is what I said. The guy could have had fingernails, or, sometimes you can chop somebody so hard that it makes them bleed. If you go back to Flair and Sting, when Sting won the championship, Flair chopped him so much, you could see what looked like beads of sweat, but it was blood beads dripping down where he had just got chopped so damn much. So chops do hurt. They're not just sound effect, so. But it could be the fingernails, but he could have just slapped the shit out of him. Or he slapped the shit out of him with fingernails.
Right, exactly.
What's up with that?
A good matchup between those teams. It was well done. I'm liking the Lucha Brothers a lot more and more each and every week. But from there, we did go into what you talked about, Shane, which was the back-to-back liquid spot, where Chris Jericho came out along with Johnny Hager and such, and was talking about the situation with Orange Cassidy. But before
did you say Johnny Hager?
Yeah, Jake Hager. Sorry. I have a friend named Johnny Hager, actually.
Oh, I'm sure you do. Yes, of course.
So the conversation went to the demographics and the ratings and how Jericho's never lost a segment. And it first seemed very desperate to me. And I'm like, why do I care? Why do the fans care? Who are they speaking to? Until he turned it around into the meaning for, I guess, the conversation, at least from a story standpoint, which is he is now the demo god, which is, I thought, fun. And he would use that throughout the segment. But that piece alone, we talked about on Primetime Weekend Edition last weekend about why perhaps they shouldn't be talking about these things, but they did. Jericho did, made a whole segment out of it. How did it strike you two to hear that backstage, I guess, conversation happening?
Oh, for me, I loved it because it was a way of Jericho telling everyone that complained about it to just shut up. And he made a parody out of it. Yeah, he explained it, but now he has another gimmick, from Le Champion to the Bubbly to now the Demo God. I'm fully expecting him to be almost like Thor pretty soon, and come out like a demigod, but the Demo God, like give him a hammer or something. But I mean, Jericho just showed again last night how brilliant and well thought out he does things. He's always had something, whether it be the light bright jacket, the list, the Y2J, the Bubbly, Le Champion. Now he has the Demo God. It's just another way for Jericho to get more over and to make more money.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree. I think it was insane. You will see Demo God on a T-shirt in no time soon. Promise you that. I thought it was great. Jericho would take the littlest of things and make something huge out of them, and nobody does it better. Even during that promo, when he was chastising Orange Cassidy, he's like, with your stupid sunglasses and jacket, and Jericho's there wearing sunglasses and a jacket. I was like, oh my God! I hope as many people caught on to that as I did. It was just. I thought it was great. I'm glad that they continued the story and the storyline with Orange Cassidy. I'm glad it's not a one and done. Cassidy coming out Of course, Cassidy's promo was perfect as always. You know, he nailed that verbiage. Outstanding. The raising of the thumb, so great. Down comes the juice. Shout out to Hoovertude. And I'm glad that I know that I'm just glad he hit his mark. Because, you know, the thing about when you drop fluid from the ceiling, if you remember WCW, when they would...
Can you say orange juice? It sounds really weird when you say you're dropping fluid from the ceiling.
Okay. Good call. Yeah, we don't want to drop that fluid.
Bloodbaths of old, which always seem to be spot on, but with the Gangrel and the Brood.
Yeah, but in WCW, they would miss. They would miss like a majority of the time when they dropped the blood, and I think it was Vampiro doing it or somebody was doing it. And, they would drop the blood and they would just miss, and you would see guys like, really? Or when they dropped like 900 tons of it on Sting and about killed him. there was also that. But last night's hit really well. I think Ortiz walked the line of being a little distracting and too goofy.
It was a lot distracting.
And I think when Jericho said, "Get up, you idiot," I think there was a little bit. That's a little bit of ribbing on the square there. Yeah. You know.
Well, here's why I was ridiculous. He's swimming around and playing it and all that stuff. 4 inches away, it's dry canvas. So it's not like the whole ring was saturated, like when McMahon was swimming when the beer bath happened, which was awesome. This was it was beyond the point of ridiculous. If we want to nitpick that segment a little bit.
Here's what's funny about it, and Cal pointed this out to me last night. He goes, "Dad, that's the guy that doesn't know how to swim. He's trying to swim in the orange juice."
No, I understand, but I understand that. Yeah, but also
it was too much.
There's a tone that we were trying to set here where that needed to be all about Jericho is embarrassed. You know, you had the inner circle in there, and that's fine. You can't not shoot him. But that moment was about Jericho being embarrassed, and now he's infuriated to a point where even though he just said there wasn't going to be a rematch, now there is going to be. So that needs to be about the embarrassment of Jericho and then the frustration and what he's going to do. And the flopping around like a fish, it was funny, but it was funny at a moment that I didn't need comedy right there. Yeah. And, you know, of course, that's, as always, that's my opinion, the way I looked at it. To me, I was distracted by him when I needed to be focused on Jericho's face. And luckily, when they went back to the replays, who did they replay over and over? Without a doubt, they kept it on Jericho. Yeah. And I guarantee you there's somebody in the truck going, "Do not shoot that flopping."
Yep.
You know, because it was distracting.
You know, I thought Orange Cassidy, I mean, there's something to be said, Shane and Dave, right, about when you could cut a promo without saying a word. You talked about it, Shane. Orange Cassidy, you know, it's his shtick, if you will. But the towel.
You know, Ron Simmons got over with just one word promo, and I didn't think we could outdo that. Somehow Orange Cassidy is getting over with no word promos.
And how about the towel, Dave? Jericho asking for it. Jericho is just so brilliant in everything he does, and he has never shown a kink in that armor. He always delivers. He is well past his prime. I'm not saying that as a bad thing, because he's still in his performance prime, but from a physical sense, he doesn't. I don't even need to see Jericho wrestle. This kind of stuff every week is fine by me. Put him in a match on occasion when it makes sense, and that's totally fine, and that is a great thing.
Without a doubt. It's interesting you said kink in the armor. I'm gonna let that slide. But he was great on he was great on commentary. And the thing is too, Taz was great earlier.
Taz was really good. Yeah.
Yeah, you forget man, so it's kind of it's weird when you have to hate the guy on one portion of the show, but then you want him on commentary on the other. Whereas Jericho was the same on both. Yeah. You understand?
Were you surprised that Taz was out there for the first hour, not with Brian Cage, getting him quote unquote ready for his world title match?
Yeah, I didn't know. That's kind of what I'm saying. I don't think it was needed. And he's so good at that, it takes away from me disliking him later. You know, I mean, you need to be that character 100% of the time, you know, and Taz is so great on commentary in his analysis of the matches and stuff like that. And he's out there kind of joking back and forth with JR a couple of times. You know, they had some kind of little short joke back and forth, this, that, and the other. And for me, it took away from the character that we were presented with later on.
So let's move on. We're at the 34-minute mark, always going long here with AEW, which is great. But the next matchup was the Elite going up against Jurassic Express. And I just have a question, and I don't know how I didn't catch this before. The being the elite music. Oh my God, was that horrible?
I don't notice it.
It was painful. I'm like, what is this? Like, does it bridge to something else? Is this like the intro? Oh, brutal. But
I'll have to go back and listen to it. I don't remember it at all.
It's horrible.
Don't? Okay.
It's like, I don't know. It was like a video game, like a parody kind of thing. I don't know. And I'm not.
But they're video gamers. That's their thing.
Yeah, but it wasn't that, Dave. It wasn't
easy, Tiger. You don't get all hot on me about it.
He put some bass in the voice there.
Yeah, he did.
Still pissed about the Kool-Aid thing, and I've got a whole audience in Finland that I need to satisfy. So we are number one as far as sports podcasts, wrestling podcasts in Finland.
They love us in Finland.
Yes, who would have thought, right?
Well, hey, you know what? We're very.
You see what I bring to the table? You guys didn't even have a podcast until I come here, and now you're number one in Finland.
That's true.
Finland.
That's true. Hey, I thought that the the Jurassic Express, and Jericho made the same mistake on commentary last night, by the way. I think that the Jurassic Express had a great showing last night. I thought they were tremendous. The three of them together, they could properly use Marco's stunt. It was all fun stuff that they did, but all meaningful stuff at the same time. I thought that the Young Bucks and Omega were good as well. However, it was Jurassic Express that shined for me in this contest. Shane, what did you think?
Yeah, I can totally see that. I think Jungle Boy is incredible. Jungle Boy just continues to stand out.
Excellent last night.
You know, and when you got that caliber of talent in that ring and you're able to stand out, that says something to me. Jungle Boy stood out. Kenny Omega, I think, Kenny Omega is just great in every single match he's in. You know, the stuff he did, the back and forth with Marco Stunt, in the beginning was believable, taking him lightly and then putting him over, stuff like that is why it helps Marco Stunt, and then Marco kind of played his part well too. He got a little annoying with the zigzag, whatever that.
We got paid for it though.
Yeah, they got kicked right in the head. Yeah, that you run the risk as a babyface by trying to be too cute. So that was really well done. He got too cute and then he got kicked right in the head for it. But I thought he looked great. I wish Luchasaurus would have left some of the kicks and stuff at home, stay the big power man, because with the matches we've seen earlier, you've seen 10,000 kicks. Is one more kick really going to set the company on fire? Be a big man. You could have been a big man there, and I would have stayed a little bit bigger. But
I don't know if he can do that. I mean, look at how he gets in the ring. He jumps over the top rope to get in the ring. He doesn't show off his size ever.
But his size showed itself off in that match last night. He was huge. I almost said monstrous. That would have been funny. And let's keep in mind, he's 65 million years old, Dave.
Yeah, for that age, he looks great for his age. we do have to say that.
How come we never see Adam Page teaming up with Kenny Omega?
Well, he's at the bar.
But, I mean, it's like we just don't ever see them team together. It's always Omega with the Young Bucks.
Well,
we never see Adam Page.
No, they just teamed together the last 2 weeks in a row.
Right, but what I'm saying is, why wouldn't they keep that going? Why don't
you said that he never teams, and they teamed together the last 2 weeks in a row?
You're right. Let me take that back. There's just no continuity, is what I'm saying.
I think that's good. I think that's part of the dissension that has to happen between Adam Page and Kenny Omega. That might be part of the story. That anytime there's a being the elite six man, is generally, if I'm not mistaken, the Bucks and Omega, and Adam Page is at the bar drinking, if you will remember, with FTR, two guys who are going to, without a doubt, end up facing the Young Bucks at some point. I think that's all intentional.
Do you think eventually Adam Page is going to get tired of seeing his partner Kenny Omega being punked out on TV as much as he does?
Yeah, the fact that he didn't come out during that beer segment was, that could be something that plays into the story later on. I could definitely see that. But I like, too, what Kenny was doing. It was kind of similar a little bit to Cody when I talked about Cody. Well, Kenny wants to get serious during the match and starts whipping somebody's ass. I like that. And even after the match, start whipping his ass some more. That I was
Would
more
it have
interested
meant more? Would it have meant more if Kenny takes his shirt off to get serious with Luchasaurus as opposed to Marco Stunt?
No, because he was taking Marco Stunt lightly. And then when he realized he shouldn't, the thing came off. There's no reason he should have ever taken Luchasaurus lightly to begin with. And I like the way they didn't tag Marco in. I like Marco tagging himself in because you don't bring this little kid in until absolutely necessary, out of desperation. You got to walk that fine line. And I thought they did it really well last night.
It was a good match. It was a good show. It was a good effort by both teams. And let's not forget, something's going on with Kenny Omega, right? He was despondent in the corner after the matchup. He went after Marco Stunt as well. There's a story brewing here, and I keep in mind, though, Dave, to the point you made about Adam Page, was all this elite dissension, if you will, and that underlying story that has been fizzling and simmering very, very well for the last few months. So with that, let's continue and talk about the next big thing that happened on AEW Dynamite on TNT, and that was the announcement that Vicky Guerrero is now going to play the role of Nyla Rose's manager. Excuse me, I love this.
That, you know what? I think that's exactly what Nyla Rose to get even more heat. And no one is a better heat machine than Vicky Guerrero, especially right now in this day and age.
Shane, what'd you think? Vicky Guerrero and Nyla Rose.
Yeah, I mean, I love Vicky. You know, she had as much heat as anybody I'd ever seen during her WWE run. You know, she can take a bump when it comes to it, so there can be a payoff. You know, I think I've talked about that with Jake and on. Where's the payoff when they get heat? If they can't be touched, they can't get bumped. I've talked about that with Paul Heyman. There's no payoff when you have a manager that can't be touched or can't take a bump. Where's the payoff? And so I'm assuming that there is with Vicky just because of what I've seen her do before. Maybe there isn't. If there isn't, I think we're going to be having this exact same conversation with her before. And we're going to have this conversation about her in the future is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But right now, I like it. It brings something else to the table. The women's division is a little depleted right now. They even address that. I'm not sure, you know, the champion cut some kind of little promo saying she'll accept challengers. It sounds like from other companies or people outside of AEW, which I guess they're doing because of personnel problems. But that also is exactly what Cody has said with his championship. So again, you got redundancies and storylines you don't want to copy from the exact same show that you're on. But that might be why they're doing it, you know, just lack of personnel because we're in like I said, the strange time that we're in. But Vicky Guerrero being there on that microphone, you can tell somebody she's been there before. The delivery, she's on point. She knows what she's saying. Vicky Guerrero knows exactly who she is. So I thought that segment came off well.
Well, overall, AEW Dynamite, we also saw Brandy Rhodes and Allie come out and have a match, get a win as well, their debut on Dynamite. Any thoughts on that match, women's tag team matchup last night on Dynamite, Shane?
Well, if she's going to do the Eye of the Hurricane Nightmare on Helm Street finisher, much like Cody, maybe watch some of my videos, try to get it a little. I was everywhere last night. You know,
you were all over
everywhere. But I like that. You know, you had MJ Jenkins, who I was a fan of from NXT, making her debut. She didn't really get to do a lot, but you know, not necessarily her fault. But I think that segment was short and sweet and served its purpose.
You know, it's talking about sweet. Chris Jericho sat in that orange juice soaked suit for over an hour last night.
$7,000 jacket, remember?
I tweeted about that. He's the real MVP. There is no way anyone could sit that long in just that sticky, syrupy orange juice nonsense.
Okay, wait. You think it was really orange juice, Dave?
Doesn't matter. Would you want to sit for an hour in that stuff?
I know there was an orange caught in Jericho's hair, which you can't plan perfect, but that was perfect.
But who would want to sit in an hour, you know, for an hour, soaking wet like that, talking wrestling? You know you're uncomfortable.
Ain't nobody got time for that. But here's what, speaking of time, guys, before we get your summary thoughts on Dynamite, I have a proposal. I have a pitch, if you will. We're at 44 and a half minutes here on the PrimeTime Super Show. I want to change the script, change the formula. So let's do it this way. How about we do, this was the AEW Dynamite review. We'll stop. We'll come back with another show, which will be the NXT review. We'll stop. And then tomorrow night, we'll give a bonus show of Be the Booker for Slammiversary and Extreme Rules, the horror show.
You want to do 3 shows?
I don't know why we stopped. Let's just go into NXT. Why stop, baby?
Well, because it could be a separate show then, and it'll be immediately following it. This is like okay, fine, you guys don't agree. Great. We'll keep talking and go all night. Fine.
I think what we're trying to say is that was a stupid idea. Let's keep rolling. That's all we're trying to say.
Damien, if you need to go get a drink or use the bathroom, by all means, Shane and I can handle it.
Marketing said we might be able to get more exposure if we have 2 separate shows with clear titling of Dynamite versus NXT, and we can then use our own ratings war, if you will, to see who won.
Carry on.
Fine. What did you think of Dynamite overall, Dave?
I thought Dynamite was the better of the 2 shows last night. I thought that they had, like I said, the first 4 or 5 segments was all big superstar feel to it. It's like you did not want to change the channel to see what was going on the other channel because you saw the 4 or 5 main attractions that AEW had. And
Shane, how about you?
Yeah, I gotta agree. I thought that AEW was a little bit better last night. I mean, they were both good shows, and I don't want to get into that comparison every single week, but that's kind of what we do here. So I was looking forward to AEW. I was not disappointed. I think the things I've talked about, I've already addressed. There's a couple things I think they need to be cognizant of: redundancies in your storytelling, redundancies in your storyline. But other than that, I mean, I thought it was a really, really solid show.
Well, it is in the books, and next week we're going to see actually some matches were announced. I believe it's going to be Jericho and Hager going up against the Lucha Express or the Jurassic Express. I don't remember.
Probably the Jurassic Express because Marco called Jericho an idiot, so I think that's what they were leaning toward.
Hey, yeah. Did you catch it last night when Jericho was talking to Jim Ross and he was calling him Jimmy? And that he's known him ever since he brought him into Smoky Mountain?
No.
It's like, is that like a tip of the hat to Cornette last night, which I thought was kind of funny if that was, because I don't really believe Jim Ross spent that much time in Smoky Mountain.
He was there, though.
Right, but the fact that he called JR Jimmy, to me, that was funny.
I don't know.
Well, that was AEW Dynamite, folks. Let's now take advantage of the opportunity to talk about the tremendous opportunity that you have to get some of the latest and greatest pro wrestling gear that doesn't necessarily look like pro wrestling gear, which makes it that great to wear anywhere that you are going. I don't know where I was going with that, but Dave, go ahead. Collar and Elbow Brand, they are the reason we are here.
Exactly. If you go to collarandelbowbrand.com and use the PWR360 promo code, you can save money. I got the Texas Death. Shane obviously got the latest line because he's wearing the new one of the Don't Trust Anybody. But head over to collarandelbowbrand.com, use promo code PWR360, and save some money on some wrestling street fashion.
And Shane, who are you wearing today?
Oh, yeah, I got the DTA, you stupid piece of trash. Don't ever trust nobody. I got the latest and greatest, but what you can trust is that Collar and Elbow Brand is the, like I've said, week after week, I wear a Collar and Elbow Brand shirt probably 6 days out of the week.
collarandelbowbrand.com is where you can get all your wrestling merchandise. Well, gentlemen, let's move on and talk about NXT, which was on last night. The show opened with Keith Lee coming out to explain or to talk about, his new championship reign in NXT. How did you think the opening of the big show on the USA Network went last night with now what is NXT? Wait, the NX Lee era, I think they were calling it, Shane?
I thought it was good. I loved Keith Lee coming out, having his moment. Man, he's good on the microphone. I thought that was great. I love the continuation. You had the big celebration last week, so this week let's bring him back out. His a little state of the union, so to speak, from Keith Lee. And I thought he's good, man. He's got a unique delivery. Man, there's energy to him. You got to give him that. I was having this big conversation on Twitter with the MMA community after the UFC this past week when one of their most dominant champions, Kamaru Usman, was like, man, here's a chance to cut a promo after his win because he beat Masvidal. Can he cut that promo? And he could not. You got to have charisma, man. You need it. You got to have it. And I thought that first opening segment was great, bringing out Dominic. Dominant D-Jack is what basically everybody calls him because we struggle. Those of us that struggle with names.
And what is it? Djokovic?
Say it again.
Djokovic?
Like I said, D-Jack. So he came out. Like I said, D-Jack. So he came out, and I like the way that went. Without animosity, not a silly swerve. Not I'm gonna turn on my friend. Just hey, I'm giving you the first shot because you deserve it. That sort of thing, man. I like.
It was respect.
I like the way they did. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I did too. I was surprised they opened with that, but again, they don't know what AEW is opening with. When you have Cody coming out first, you know that AEW meant business. Bringing out their new 2-belt champion, I thought was great. He does have an amazing delivery. You do not expect someone to sound that, I don't want to say soft, but he just sounds really pretty when he talks. You know what I mean? It just
sounds really pretty.
It's calming.
He does.
It's calming.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
It's energetic, yet at the same time, it's calming. It's very unique.
Very therapeutic. Yes.
I feel better. I feel better. I'm gonna call him after this, just like, hey man, just read to me or something.
But I mean, it's. I liked how he called out D-Jack.
Yeah.
Says, hey, you know what? I had the biggest battles with you. Let's do it one more time. You, in my mind, you deserve this. You earned this. I thought it was very interesting that we didn't hear from Adam Cole. We didn't see Finn Balor. Two guys that have been, I don't want to say staples, but have been main players in NXT for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, we did get to see, though, Damian Priest after Keith Lee opened the show. It would be him against Cameron Grimes.
Cameron Grimes!
That's a Shane Helms guy right there.
Cameron Grimes!
Well, a good match, a very good match, actually, but Priest would get the win in this matchup. Dave, what'd you think? If you
know what? I did see it. I was going back and forth. I mean, it's kind of hard when you have FTR, but Cameron Grimes is that guy that you just want to watch because he does a lot of things that you just don't believe he could do. I mean, he is so solid in the ring. He seems extremely comfortable. Damian Priest and him have been going back and forth for a while. I thought they had a great match, and Cameron Grimes, I think, out of this program is going to become the bigger star of the two.
Shane, what do you say?
What I love about Cameron Trevor Lee is what I've always loved about him is his little, the way he pays attention to detail. His little things, they do matter. They matter the most. He's so solid. And this match was good. I thought Damian Priest looked as good as he's ever looked in NXT. And so I got no problem with the finish. I like Damian winning. I don't think it hurt Cameron Grimes to lose to somebody as physically imposing as Damian Priest. And, Keith Lee's going to need contenders, and it'll be both of these guys at one point, but right now, you're going to need that bigger guy and guys that can just match up with Keith Lee. If he's just beating up little guys, it'll get old after a while, but I liked it. I thought both of these guys looked tremendous, and I really enjoyed this match.
I really don't see a lot of little guys in Big Keith Lee's future, because you got to believe Damian Priest is going to be there. You got to believe, they'll do some more stuff with D-Jack. And, Karrion Kross is right there also. There's 3 legit guys over 6'2" on that roster that, can go toe-to-toe with Big Keith Lee.
Yeah, and the backstage with D-Jack and Karrion Kross I thought was very interesting, You see how big D-Jack really is there too. That's a big old boy. Sometimes it doesn't come across especially when he was in there with Keith Lee, who's huge. But I like that backstage segment. What language was that Karrion Kross was speaking? Did anybody know?
I think if you play back some of those old 80s rock music albums backwards, I think it's something from there.
I was wondering if it was Latin, because I wanted to say, it appears Karrion Kross is an educated man, but I thought that was interesting, and a good little segue. But I like the way he threw. Well, it was odd the way he threw D-Jack, and then he started taking off his jacket like he's going to do some real damage, and then he just walked away. I was like, okay.
Well, folks, Indy Hartwell would get a win over Shotzi Blackheart as well. Any takeaways from this matchup, Shane?
The biggest bump of the damn night. What's her name? Blackwell. That bump off the top rope at the end, that shit hurt. I felt it for her. That part of the ring right there in the corner is damn treacherous. Absolutely treacherous. So that bump leading into the finish, I can't get enough of Robert Stone getting run over with that tank. I feel like that needs to happen every week, and them running with that. That was a good little match, and like I said, that bump looked brutal and it looked like it hurt. And both of those ladies worked their ass off. That was a good one.
I have a little bit of heat with Robert Stone. It's like he's stealing my gimmick with the cam walker. It's like, dude, I've had that for years. You could have at least asked first. Right. But I love how every chance he gets, he reminds everybody that he was run over by a tank. Whether it be on Instagram, Twitter, on TV, off TV, whatever else, he tells everybody. I would have liked to have seen Shotzi get the victory, even though Stone and them tried to cost her the match. But who would have thought that Robbie and his protege, his associate, as you say, is now in a program with Shotzi Blackwell? I mean, you went from Chelsea Green to Rhea Ripley, and now they're at Shotzi. I think Shotzi's going to benefit tremendously from this because Robert Stone is so good at what he does.
Oh yeah, just that segment with that tank elevated her as much as anything she's done.
Yeah,
and that's just how crazy this business is. Sometimes you can have great match after great match after great match, and then it'll be something absolutely silly that no one even thought would work or even gave a second thought to that actually ends up getting you over. It happens all the time.
What's going good though, or what's been good, I think, on NXT compared to AEW, and AEW does a good job with it, is NXT is much more focused on telling me the story. And they had a lot of video packages last night that told me the story about their stars and their talents and their journeys, if you will. Very good, I think, to fill the gaps. Now, both shows are they've got 2 hours. We know that last week they were both at about 65 minutes of wrestling. I don't know what the counts are this week, but it's an interesting balance in looking at the two, because Shane, you talked earlier about how AEW maybe should have explained more the Lucha Mask thing and why that was so important. Well, that's one thing that WWE/NXT remains absolutely tremendous at, is they most of the time fill the gaps and get you to where they want you to be versus assuming you know where they want you to be.
Yeah, I completely agree. Some of the video packages, especially, and not saying that NXT didn't do this before, maybe I've just noticed it more since I started doing primetime with you guys, because I'm watching everything with a more detailed eye now. So I don't sound like an idiot up here, although sometimes that's still happening. It is what it is. But like some of their promos are just they really elevate the character. It isn't just a highlight package of guys doing moves. And a perfect example from last night was Santos Escobar. That shit was awesome.
Yeah.
That was the best promo package of the night last night. And, they did it with Io Shirai over the last couple of weeks. Those backstage promos made me want to see this match tonight last night that she had with Negan Fox. And, before that, the stuff that they were doing with the Garganos and stuff like that, man, they're backstage, not backstage, but they're just the video packages and promos. And of course, WWE, that's what they're known for. Their production is second to none. We all know that. But on NXT, it just seems during this COVID era, which we need a better name for this, but it just seems they're using those packages and that time a little bit more efficiently to further the characterization of some of their personalities that they have. And last night, like I said, Santos Escobar, that shit was like, that looked like a something you would see on one of the Netflix shows.
Yeah.
I forget. I don't know. You know what the hell I'm talking about. But that shit looked good, man. Don't forget this. Back in the day, pro wrestling, like when we used to watch NWA back in the day, it was a televised wrestling show. Now, 2020, and for the past 10 years, it's been a wrestling show that has pro wrestling on it.
Yep.
And there's a slight difference there.
There's a major difference.
We're not just showing matches. We're not just showing matches. We can develop characters, develop personalities that people can get behind. And NXT, just like I said, with that Santos Escobar specifically last night, I really love that.
So let me ask you this, actually, Shane and Dave, question, because I think it need to be asked based off the narrative you just gave. And I'm not saying they have or haven't, but which stars in the same regard has AEW actually created?
I mean, Orange Cassidy, even though they didn't create him per se, nobody's been elevated during this era as much as he has.
It's a good point. Good point.
But I don't think AEW has done the same job of truly introducing their talents to the audience the way NXT does. I think a lot of AEW feels that their fans already know who their guys are. I mean, when they did the introductions with Jungle Boy, he was like he was coming through a swamp. There hasn't been anything sit down where they explain who they are, and that's the one thing that WWE has always done tremendously well, is saying, okay, we're now going to tell you who this guy is, and that's exactly what they did with Escobar last night. It's what they did with Drake Maverick when he was fired, and then they brought him back. You got to get a emotional connection with the talent because you got to see who they were.
Yeah, in the weeks before AEW, like the Sunny Kiss, Joey Janela things, I like that. That looked like something more akin to what we're talking about now, character development, and let's explain who these people are. And if you explain who they are, that just opens the possibility in the viewer's mind of where these characters can go. But you never think about that until you can understand who they are. You know, you just talked about Jungle Boy. I've said this before. You just said he came out of a swamp. He should be coming out of a jungle. It's right there. It's right in there. I need to understand. I still don't really understand why he's Jungle Boy.
You know, we asked that question.
That's a small thing.
Program. What exactly? Why he's tremendous? He's amazing. He's a great talent. He's Luke Perry's kid. But why is he Jungle Boy? And did he come out of a swamp or a jungle, or is he John of the Jungle?
John of the Jungle.
George of the Jungle. It's George.
We're gonna get back in a whole nother red grape situation here. I was always
John of the Jungle.
The book I read was John of the Jungle.
Who the fuck is John of the
Jungle? John of the Jungle.
Maybe it's George of the Jungle. Watch out for that tree.
It's George of the Jungle.
Yes.
George.
You guys can't change my history.
You know, Damien, your private schools have not paid off very well, have they?
What did pay off was the main event.
Did you ever see that little? There was a. Did you watch his cartoon about a little monkey named Curious John?
No, that was Curious George.
That was Curious George. And
thanks for playing. You could have ran with that. You could have ran with that. See, Dave, I lobbed him a softball.
Curious John on this show.
I lobbed him a softball and he struck out. That's what that was.
Well, folks, let's continue. We're in overtime here by 2.5 minutes, which is fine because you guys wouldn't let us do a separate show. So
we don't have a time limit. There's no overtime. I'll do this shit for 4 hours.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you know what? We're not doing a show on Raw right now, okay? That would take 4 hours.
And notice how we didn't even talk about Raw, which because I just don't want to. I will say this though about Raw, if I may, before we get to the main event on NXT, which was Keith Lee versus DJ, which I like. Just it's easier to say for another winner takes all.
Whoa! Pump the brakes. That really wasn't the main event. That was to start off the second hour.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, in my mind, it was the main event because it was a champion. Shane told me that earlier.
What?
Well, when you talk about Moxley, the focus on Moxley as the champion on AEW.
Yeah, so, that means that the focus of the show, one of the focuses of the company should be on it, but doesn't mean he has to be in the last segment of the show. Go ahead, Curious John.
John of the Jungle. My question is this. So,
hey, this will be the next Twitter ballot. Go ahead.
So here's my question. So I realized this past Monday night why I can't watch Raw and I can't watch SmackDown. And I don't know why this was so vivid to me, but the problem is the environment reminds me of our global situation and the pandemic situation because of all the plexiglass and the masks and all of that. And
I thought you were going to say red and blue.
No, that's a clear line there. But it looks like they're in a hospital room. And I was watching this past Monday night. And I'm like, watching this is pissing me off. And it wasn't anything to do with the wrestling, wasn't anything to do with the content, because there was actually some good stuff on Raw this past Monday. I like the Randy Orton Big Show thing. I like Ricochet getting all the time that he got. It was a good program, but I'm watching it.
Richard. It's Richard.
I was watching it. I'm like, the sterility of this environment is taking me. It's reminding me that I can't go outside without a mask on. It's reminding me that I can't travel anywhere successfully. It's reminding me I can't go to concerts, can't go to sporting events. Reminding me that I'm sick and tired of not getting sick. And I just wanted to share that because we've been sort of bashing Raw over the last few weeks, and we said, not you guys, but me, we've said that there's no wrestling company that can do a bad show during this pandemic situation. It's just not. They're putting forth a lot of effort. The talents are putting forth a ton of effort. We should respect and appreciate what they're doing. We may not like it, but we should respect and appreciate it, which we do. But it dawned on me this past Monday that it was the sterility of the environment, the sterile nature of the presentation, the damn plexiglass, which on NXT you can't see because it's dark. That's what's bothering me about Mondays and Fridays on WWE programming.
That's interesting. It's interesting. I don't disagree with you. That might play a part in it. That might play a huge part in it.
And the ratings, by the way, because those matter when you get your lowest ever, right?
They definitely do matter, So I hate the ratings conversation I always have, but yeah, I think you might be right. It does suck. It is a reminder when you see that. It is a constant reminder. So I think you're definitely owning something there.
Yeah, just wait till baseball starts and you see nobody in the arenas, in the stadiums.
Yeah, that's just eerie, though. That's like apocalyptic. I can deal with that, but it's like anyways, not gonna. You're right.
You know what though? But hey, one of the conversations that Shane and I have had is sports are starting back up again with the NBA and Major League Baseball. And if you thought wrestling ratings were taking a dip now, imagine what's going to happen now when you have the NBA with their playoffs starting up and the Major League Baseball coming back, going up against Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and AEW.
But will
it's going to be very interesting.
Will the limited schedule cause that to happen, though? Because there's far fewer games from what I've heard, right?
It doesn't matter. They're still going to be going head-to-head.
Yeah, they're going to be head-to-head. Keep in mind, wrestling takes up 3 nights out of the week.
Sure.
And the NBA and Major League Baseball aren't going to sit back after all the money they've lost because of this. They're not going to sit back and switch nights just, to appease the wrestling audience. So there's going to be a lot of head-to-head. And it'll be interesting to see what people watch. I think it's been fascinating to see. Like I talked about this on Highway to Helms last week. I caught myself watching cornhole on ESPN just because of the championship drought. I mean, the sports.
Was it really on ESPN?
I believe so. I don't know if you're throwing me a lob there that I'm missing out on, but and I was watching it and I didn't turn it. I watched it for like 2 hours. So. Yeah, I don't know what to say or what the future holds, but I think it's fascinating that I haven't picked up on what Damian said, and I'm really going to focus on that when I watch Raw or SmackDown because that comes on tomorrow. I'm really going to focus on that to see if that's a part of it. Kudos to Damian.
Just giving my perspective, fans' perspective, looking at it from a different way. But
it's the first time you've been right since I've been on the show, so I want to make sure you get the accolades.
Oh, right now I'm on your right.
Okay. See?
That wasn't good?
No.
How about Keith Lee versus DJ? How good was that, Dave Hero?
I thought it was great. It had the heavyweight match feel. I mean, you had 2 big guys going back and forth. Yes, did they wrestle like cruiserweights at times? Absolutely. But you still honestly believe that it was a heavyweight title fight going on as both guys were going toe-to-toe. Or as Freddie Blassie would say, belly-to-belly, bumper-to-bumper, back and forth. I liked it. I thought it was good. I thought it was a great first title defense for Keith Lee because he beat the undersized Adam Cole, and now he beats a legit giant in the ring with D-Jack, which now makes him he is the guy. He's the man.
Shane?
Yeah, I agree with all that. I thought it was good. Athletic. It didn't look like forced athleticism like I see from some other big guys that get in that mindset. Hey, I'm a big guy. I can do a flip too. Like flips aren't that hard, guys. They really just aren't. But I thought they looked good. Keith going over so dominant. Hit the big super high choke slam that he does. Followed with his finish, the Big Bang Catastrophe, which I love that name too, by the way. I thought it was great. And then the aftermath with what's her name carrying crosses?
Scarlett.
Yeah, her coming out. That was super well done from a production standpoint. The lighting was on point. I guess that was that the hourglass that was broken to pieces that she put in there. So you got that symbolism, but it took me a second to figure out what exactly that was. For whatever reason, I was just going, what the hell is that? I thought it was going to be like Mia Yim's shoes or something. Like they done kidnapped her. That's exactly where my mind went. Like I said, I bet this is something about Mia.
How would they know what Mia Yim's shoes look like?
I don't know. I just thought it was because the female was coming out. That I don't know. You want to get in Big Keithley's head,
right?
That's an obvious thing. So I guess I was just thinking about that, and then it was the hourglass, so I couldn't figure out what it was, but I just loved the way it was shot from the camera angles, the perspective when Scarlett's going back up the ramp, and you can see Keithley in the background. He looked like when Thanos came to Earth back there, just gigantic, man. I just thought that was really visually really well done.
All right, next matchup was Timothy Thatcher going up against and getting the win over Denzel DeJournette. Thatcher is impressive to me. I mean, he's a machine. Dave, what do you think?
I didn't watch this one. I changed the channel.
Fair enough. Shane, how about you? It's difficult. We can't see all the matches.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, they stuck to the amateur wrestling. The other guy, I believe, went to I think they said Appalachian State. And I remember talking to him at NXT. Appalachian State was where I would actually train for wrestling camp during the summer. Get my ass tore up, by the way. But I thought it was good. It wasn't pretty. It was a little clunky at times, but I still enjoyed it. You had the amateur style versus the Lou Thez hooker style, and when Thatcher caught him in that single leg, it's a single leg crab, but it looked like he put more of the pressure on the shin bone. Actually, you got the tap out, and it served the purpose of getting Thatcher over. Thatch can, as they say.
Yes, I just think that with Thatcher's matches, they need to be a little bit quicker. I think they drag on too long and the audience then disconnects. I know that's the problem I have. It's like, let him go out there, tie the guy up in a pretzel and beat him and be done, and build him that way as a guy that just is a master.
And two, like when he just goes over clean, like I'm not going to hate that. That's one thing that there's a lot of guys in the WWE process that still think heels going over clean is heat. And it isn't. It's just not. It's cool. It hasn't been for a long time. So if Thatcher could have did something where behind the referee's back, he gouged my dude in the eye, and then he goes into that single leg crab. And when he's talking about it, he leaves out the gouge in the eye or the thumb to the eye. He leaves out that part. He puts it over like it was his wrestling that did it. Now he's a liar. And now I have something to not like about the guy. He cheated. He did something, dare I say it, heelish. Yes, he just out wrestled the guy and beat him and made him tap out. Why am I supposed to hate that?
It's a lost art form. It's a lost art form. The heel is a lost art form.
Yeah. And it's not I'm definitely not knocking the WWE process at all, but there are, when you deal with that, and I've dealt with it before, I dealt with it when I was there. I'm like, there's no heat in just beating a babyface clean. It's just not. You're trying to build credibility. So I get a pass because here we're trying to build credibility for Thatcher, who I feel like he already had that after the Matt Riddle match, but maybe they're just trying to add a little bit more because of personnel problems. So if he's going to get a clean win, this is the guy to do it with. This type of personality, this type of character who isn't anywhere on the ladder. You know what I'm saying? So that's the type of guy to do it with. That being said, I still would have done it. I still would have gouged him in his eye. Let's get this personality over. Call yourself the greatest wrestler in the world and then go out there and drag the guy's face across the ropes. Get ugly, get nasty. Get Buddy Roberts. That's heat. When you just, like I say, I'll say it a million times. I'm never going to boo somebody that just goes over clean and just beats the guy. That's impressive. That's not heat.
I think we lost Damien.
No,
That's he. Oh, there he is.
I was absorbing the teachings of Shane Helms.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, and I might not be 100% correct in that, but that's just how I feel, how I've always felt. And I've been in those, and I've been the baby face that got pinned clean, and I'm listening to that crowd, and they don't give a shit, and I go, told you.
Yeah, the one thing you always want is a crowd reaction. You want the cheers or the boos, and when it's nothing, then the business was not taken care of, and nobody made money then.
Well, the reaction was strong to the main event match on NXT this past week. Last night, it was the champion defending against Tegan Nox, and Tegan Nox comes up short in the main event, though. Io Shirai still remains the NXT Women's Champion. Dave, did you get a chance to catch this match?
I did. You know what? I thought it was a very good match. I thought both girls did everything that could have been asked of them. I mean, they're going up against Brian Cage and Jon Moxley on the other channel. But I thought the real big emotional moment was at the end when Shirai got completely blasted on the ramp. You know, I mean, she got just crushed. I mean, that was like one stiff shot, and I was like, oof. Well, that's going to sell tickets if they could sell tickets. That is the heat. That's what you want to see out of nowhere, completely crushing. And for me, that's how I left NXT thinking, damn, I can't wait to see those two fight now, because now there's a reason for it.
Shane, what did you think?
Exactly. I like that. I loved, and I talked about this for the past couple of weeks, the promos leading up to this match I thought were great. You know, it gave Io Shirai this presence that I really thought was really cool, and it translates on her entrance. She's got this really cool. She loses it a little bit during the match by going, you know, just having a great match and losing a little bit of that mystique. But that being said, this was a good match. I thought Tegan Nox, I always want to say Negan falling from The Walking Dead, but yeah, she does great. And she did great. She looked great. So I don't think she was hurt by this whatsoever. But yeah, you go to that outshot of Dakota Kai, right? Dakota Kai with that big boot to the damn face. That shit was awesome. I don't know why she had on the jacket. That was really, I was stuck with that. Like, she kicked her in the face and then she took off her jacket real quick. For whatever reason, that was odd to me. But just that boot to the face. And now you know where we're going. You got a champion, you know where the story's at. This was kind of the opposite of what happened on the other show. You know, the champion is the focus. The women's champion is the focus on that storyline. She wasn't just left in the background, and the challenger gets attacked. You know, so I mean, that's an interesting parallel that happened. I doubt it happened on purpose, but man, that boot out of nowhere, that needs to be replayed.
That was better than any Sheamus bro kick, better than any Drew McIntyre Claymore kick. I mean, that was Devastation Incorporated kick right there. I mean, it was very well done, and that is how you get noticed.
Was that one of Paul Heyman's tag teams, Devastation Inc.?
No, that was Gary Hart.
Was it? Yes.
Was that Gary Hart?
Yes. Gary Hart.
When you said it, it was something. I'm like, what is that from?
Yeah. Okay. Gary Hart and Skandar Akbar.
General Skandar Akbar.
Yes.
Yes, we show some respect on Akbar's name.
All right. Well, gentlemen, as we conclude here, how about your final thoughts on NXT?
Was that a nod to General Akbar from Star Wars, Skandar Akbar? Do you think he was secretly a Star Wars fan, or did he predate General Akbar from Star Wars?
You know what? They may have been related for as far as I know. I have no idea. You know?
Do you even know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah, of course. It's a trap. And then, of course, you have Skandar Akbar. Yeah, absolutely. Bro, I'm with you. It's the guy over there that has no clue what we're talking about.
Damien, this is your chance to redeem yourself. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about right now?
So I have seen all of the Star Wars movies, all 9. I can't talk about the first 3. They're great movies. They're good.
No, he has no clue what we're talking about.
Wait, you said from Star Wars?
Yeah.
I haven't.
You don't know.
Do you know who General
Akbar?
No.
It's a trap. How he's in every meme imaginable, or meme that you might call it a meme. I don't know, but yeah, it's a trap.
I don't.
It's okay, Damien.
I don't meme. Shane, I'm sorry. I got things going on. I'm trying to keep you guys looking good, making sure this show is going good. That's what I spend my waking hours doing and watching 48 hours of wrestling every week.
I almost felt a little tear come out.
Because
That's how disappointed I am right now.
Because I can't cite movies from 1976.
Shane, in the last 2 weeks, we've had Grape Kool-Aid, John of the Jungle.
Great. Good job, Dave. Great.
And now he doesn't know who General Akbar is.
I think the show is a trap. The show is a death trap.
I'm sorry, Admiral Akbar, not General Akbar. Admiral Akbar.
Well, he was an admiral. Maybe we were wrong. Was he a general to begin with? He had to be a general to begin with.
Oh, of course, I knew that. Yeah. He was an admiral. Of course. If you'd asked me about Admiral Akbar, of course. Hell yeah.
Okay. That's a good rebound. We'll take it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
NXT last night. Overall thoughts. Dave, we'll start with you. I know you didn't watch the entire show due to switching back and forth, but what did you think at the end of it?
The ending was the exclamation mark on that show. I thought it was great. They were slow out of the box just because AEW stacked their show so heavy early on. And let's be honest, it's hard to have momentum for 4 weeks in a row. Especially when you're missing some of your big stars, when you don't really truly see Karrion Kross in the ring, you don't see Johnny Gargano, you don't see Adam Cole, you don't see Loomis, and you don't see the rest of the Undisputed Era. You were missing a lot of star power NXT last night, but they still had a great show. For me, it's easier a B or a B plus.
You know, you mentioned Johnny Gargano and the missing stars from the show. Do you guys want to chat at all about what Tommaso Ciampa has said recently about his lack of TV time?
What did he say?
I don't know if it was Twitter or Instagram, but I believe it was somewhere on social about, he's experiencing the creative has nothing for you bug.
Well, they don't. Obviously, they don't. Where do you put him? You can't put him with your babyface champion and Keith Lee. He already had his match with Karrion Kross. So Adam Cole and his band of misfits haven't been on TV now. Where do you put Tommaso Ciampa? You put him in a program with Thatcher, but he'll experience the exact same fate as he did with Karrion Kross, because right now they're going with a different set of guys.
Yeah, that's the downfall sometimes of when you've had the success in NXT that Ciampa has. If he's not presented at that same level from here on out, it's going to seem less than. Like if he came back, it needs to be something with Karrion Kross. And if they're not ready for that yet, I think it's okay. I don't think you force the issue and put him on TV in something that doesn't continue who he is. And if he's not ready to just elevate people and, slowly descend the ladder, then leave him at home right now. I think that's okay. You don't have to have everybody on every single show. There is a downside sometimes to when you're that successful that early on. I remember in WWE, I think Gail Kim, didn't she win the women's championship in her debut?
Yeah.
Okay, well, what do you do now?
Mm-hmm.
Everything after this, unless you just keep winning it over and over and over, what do you do now? So that happens. That happens sometimes but it's not the worst problem in the world. He's getting paid to sit at home.
So
that shit ain't bad.
Thank you. That's not bad at all. Shane, your overall thoughts on NXT last night?
I thought it was good. I thought every segment, and I'm a big proponent of this. Every segment had a purpose. Every segment elevated somebody. And that's what you need to do on a television show. You need to elevate characters. You need to elevate talent. Keith Lee looks tremendous as a champion. Io Shirai looks tremendous as a women's champion. I think Damian Priest looked great. That promo with Santos Escobar, I can't talk enough about how cool I thought that shit was. So I thought overall it was a big win. I thought both shows, AEW and NXT last night, were really good.
A good night of wrestling on a Wednesday night, which is something we have been able to count on for the last several weeks. And we thank, of course, all the efforts by AEW and also NXT to deliver that. I think it's interesting. If you look at the 4 shows right now, the 5 shows if you include Impact, 6 shows if you include Ring of Honor, but let's focus on the 4, the big 4, if you will. Not on a week-to-week basis, but which show weekly has the it factor right now? Is it Raw, SmackDown, NXT, or AEW Dynamite? What do you say, Dave? It's a pop quiz question. But
you know what? I think it depends on the Wednesday, but it's one of the two Wednesday shows. Because when NXT has their stars, and they didn't have their stars last night. Again, we can count 6 or 7 people that they had built the Great American Bash around that were not on the show. It could be NXT. But then you throw in the Y2J factor on Wednesday nights, and Chris Jericho makes Wednesday nights must-watch TV. He gets orange juice over. You know what I mean?
Shane, what would you say? What show has the it factor of the 4 big shows, weekly shows on television?
Right now, for me, it is AEW because of the unpredictability. I don't know what's going to happen there. After decades of watching WWE, there's just a feeling of predictability, and that's a part of their success. So it's going to be hard to switch from that. But like I said, the unpredictability of AEW and the Chris Jericho factor. There's a lot of new stuff coming out. It just seems fresher.
Yeah.
So I like AEW. Second place goes to NXT, and coming in third is Impact. Those are the 3 shows, and in that order that I look forward to. Impact, and we'll talk about this on the preceding show. Impact's unpredictable. I love not being able to know what the hell is going to happen. As we've seen on our Be the Booker programs, we're both pretty in tune and are able to predict what's going to happen. I want to watch a show and just be wrong sometimes. I want to just be wrong and like, hey, I didn't see that coming. And not from a bad standpoint either. I want to be surprised, like, whoa, shit, I missed that feeling. And so that's what I like. I like being able not to predict every single thing that's going to happen. So AEW, NXT, Impact in that order.
Oh, fair enough. Interesting Impact throw in there. And we want to hear your thoughts if you're watching us out there in the broadcast world or listening to us in the podcast realm. You can share your comments on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, where we are streaming live right now with Hurricane Helms. It's a primetime super show on Thursday night, July 16, 2020. We've just taken a look at, Shane, that was a action figure there.
Look how jacked I am. See that shit? Jack. That's what I look like if I take this shirt off right there.
Like
see that pecs?
Was that before they had a wellness policy? I don't remember.
Kayfabe.
Share your comments, folks. Which show is the it show? Which show has the it factor for you on the weekly television broadcast?
This is after the wellness program. Look at this chubby bastard. This is actually what I look like. This is built to scale.
I feel terrible for your wife.
Share your comments, folks, on any of our social media channels. You can also catch this show in podcast form. As we said, we actually weren't joking. We're hot in Finland right now, so go ahead and listen. But more importantly, share and comment and rate the podcast as well. If you're thinking about rating my performance, then go ahead and give it a 5-star review. If you're rating Shane's performance, you can go ahead and do 4.5 stars. And then Dave, we will attribute all 1-star reviews to you.
But see, the advantage of a 1-star, there's always room for improvement. You can only go backwards.
See, and I gotta say, every match I had was a 1-star match, and that 1 star was me.
Well, thank you for joining us here on Fight TV, our tremendous broadcast partner. And Shane, as you talk about Impact Wrestling, and as we talk about Fight TV, most people, or a lot of people who are watching the show, also watch those broadcasts on Fight TV. Internationally, Dynamite's available on Fight, and also Slammiversary will be available on Fight as well. And we are going to be talking about Slammiversary and the horror show Be the Booker the horror show at Extreme Rules in Be the Booker, which we plan to bring you tomorrow night in a special episode of the Pro Wrestling Report as well. So, gentlemen, I'm going to give you now time to relax and think about your booking fantasies, if you will, as it pertains to those 2 shows. And we will thank all of you for tuning in and for joining us for that one. And that one down there, Shane Helms. This is Damian Nelson saying thank you so much for joining us here live on Fight TV. We look forward to your comments on tonight's broadcast. See you soon, everyone.